Saw somebody in here. Is it Marco? No, it's LCAP. What's up, LCAP? Sorry about that. I'm used to Marco always being the first one in the chat. Well, not always, but most of the time. Just got done with my first day of physical therapy, which if you've ever been through physical therapy, you know the other name for it is torture session. I mean, that's literally what they're there to do. They're there to make you hurt, see how far they can push you through the pain. It wasn't too bad. It was my first day, so I'm sure they took it a little easy on me. But I've been begging for this therapy for, I don't know, 5-6 years now. Finally got the VA to approve it. Be nice to see if I can get a little bit of my health back. But I thought I'd, I can't come to the shop and just spend 6-8 hours like I used to anymore. May not ever be able to do that again, but that just means I'm going to have to come more often and work for an hour or two, get done what I can get done. So that's what I'm back here today doing. I never did find that stainless steel tubing that I use for my lanyard tubes. I've no idea what I did with it. I've gone all through my drawer with all my supplies in it, can't find it. I found every other, maybe I did, maybe I was just out of it. I don't remember. I've already looked again today. And so far I had no luck, but if I don't find it, I guess I'm gonna order some more. I did find a lot of stuff I forgot I had, like this whole sheet of titanium right here. No idea what I'm gonna do with it. I just wanted some titanium, so I bought it. Now, LCAP, if it was anybody else, there would definitely be surgery required. It needs surgery, but I found out that it's from the denervation in my foot. My nerves in my foot are dead. And when that happens, your bones will just start to fracture and your foot will collapse. You lose the arch in your foot and all that. There's really nothing they can do about it. It all goes back to me being diabetic. So it was pretty depressing when I found out that this is all my fault. It was all avoidable, but 100% on me. So now I have to live with it. And I've been able to walk and get around for a couple of weeks. I just wasn't, because I thought I needed, and they still thought I needed to rest and let it heal and get better. Well, now that I know that that's probably not going to happen, or it's not going to get much better anyway, I might as well be doing what I want to do. So I did also find that prick that gentleman from Mexico, I told him I'd send to him. I didn't even think about that, man. He mentioned the cost of shipping to Mexico. I've never shipped to Mexico, so I'm hoping it's not too expensive. But hell, it may cost as much to ship it as the damn thing costs. You guys have watched me grind on several occasions, but I kind of wanted to go over a little bit of the details of it with you today, some stuff I've never really explained. This is my marble surface that I put my jig on. And I put a digital angle meter against this to make sure this is at a perfect 90 degrees. So that being at 90 degrees, I've got this jig. I clamped the knife in, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it has a slight tilt. It's about a 4-degree tilt. 4 to 5 degrees is typically where you want to grind your main bevel. This is an already heat treated knife blank. So I want to set that. Usually I shoot for 4 degrees. So you want to set it at about 4 degrees, and you'll have to do some adjusting depending on the height of the blade. There's a big difference between a this knife and say the thug that's only an inch tall, where this is an inch and a half. But 4 degrees is a safe number. It's a safe place to start. And then you can, you can kind of adjust from there. And it's not hard to tell if you need adjustment. You can see it in the bevel as you're grinding it in, as it rising all the way to the spine, for a full flat. So that's how that works. And it's really that simple, man. I really don't think grinding bevels, it's certainly not hard. It requires a little bit of learning and figuring out and I've said this several times in the past. Many of you probably heard me. You learn the most about grinding a bevel when you screw one up. When you fucked up the angles, or you've got more than one facet and it looks like shit, you throw it over on the table and forget about it. And then later on down the line, you come back, you find that knife and you're like, I wonder if I can fix that. So you recheck it up in the jig, you draw your Sharpie lines all up and down it so you can see where the belt's touching. Actually, those Sharpie lines are very important, because that shows you exactly what the grinder's touching and what it's not. Then you can just fine tune your jig, your angle to make that, because what you're looking for is one facet. And by that, I mean one flat surface that goes from the spine to the edge. And as you pass it across that belt, you can see that facet start to grow until it engulfs the entire blade, the entire bevel. And I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but for me, once I learned how to fix a bad grind, then I really felt like I knew how. That's when I really felt like I knew how to grind. Because I fucked one up, I fucked a few up, and I went back and fixed them. And once you have that confidence of taking a knife you've already ground and you messed it up and redoing that angle, it makes a huge difference in your confidence, and it teaches you everything you need to know about doing a nice bevel. The first time, like that's a really nice ground bevel right there. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I fucked some up in the past and I learned how to fix it. So if you ever decide you want to make your own knife, a lot of people tell you, buy some mild steel, something you don't have to heat treat and practice. I hate that, just because I hate the thoughts of putting a bunch of effort into something that's going to be unusable when I'm done. But you can buy a stick of Pro Cut. It's pretty cheap and it's a really good steel. And give it a shot, man. Grind one out, mess it up. When you do mess it up, call me and I'll walk you through how to fix it, or how to try to fix it. And here's the thing. Even if it's unfixable, even if you've gone too far, it's not a big deal. Throw it away. If you bought a stick of it, you got enough to make 4 or 5 knives. Start over. You'll do better on the next one. That's my philosophy behind it anyway. Because like I said, I really don't feel like, you sit down and you grind your first knife and it comes out perfect, I don't feel like you learned near as much as you would have had you not messed it up the first time and gone back and fixed it and learned what it actually means to move a bevel. You know what I'm talking about, moving a bevel. When I make this first pass here, I have this nice bright shiny scratch pattern, on here starting the bevel, and then what I'm watching for, I'm watching for it to get thinner here, and reach my center line, but I'm also watching for that bevel to climb up the height of the knife. And if I do it perfectly, when I get to about 10 thou right here, thinner on some knives, but when I get to about 10 thousandths thickness right here, at that same time, that bevel will have climbed up and just touched the spine. You don't want to dig into the spine because you don't want to look down it and see a dip. But it's not hard to learn once you fuck one up and go back and try to fix it. And that's an awesome feeling, man, when you throw a piece of steel over on the table because you think you've ruined it, and then you go back and fix it and make a usable knife out of it, especially if it's a sellable knife when you're done. You know, if you can sell that knife, you know, and it not be subpar, it be a nice precision ground tool. Feels pretty dang good. It's gonna get a little loud. I'm gonna fire the grinder up. Most of y'all are used to it. So let me get some eye protection on here. Get my old man safety glasses on with my 2.0 correction so I can see what I'm doing. I'll get y'all a little closer. We're gonna get the grinding. Sorry about the light bars, guys. Y'all know my screen's cracked and I can't afford a phone right now. I don't know if y'all see this little bar right here. Little tab. I'm getting to lock these pliers on too. Right there. That's the tracking. That moves my belt left to right across the platen. That's how I get it centered up. As you can see, that first pass is ugly as shit, but it's right on the edge where I want it to be, and it'll start climbing up that spine. I have to dip it in water to cool the steel off. You don't want it to get too hot. How I track whether or not the steel's getting hot is I watch the backside. After I've dipped it in water and it's wet, when I'm dragging it across, I watch the water evaporate off that backside. If the water's evaporating off the backside, I know there's a little heat in there, so I keep it moving, and when I get done with that pass, I'll dip again. As you can see, it's that line's starting to get straighter and straighter. These 36 grit Norton blades, see how fast that bevel's climbing? These belts have been an absolute game changer for me. They make one called the Razor, the Norton Razor. Supposed to be even better, but I haven't got my hands on one yet. We're almost done with that one. Got a little head start since the other side was already brown. I got a few of these to do. It all depends on how well my foot holds up, to how many of them I do today. Got a stool here. I can sit down and grind. It's possible, but it's just not near as it's just harder for me to grind, because when I'm grinding, I'm pivoting at the hip. If you're trying to do all that with your hands and arms, it wears you out and it's hard to be precise. Kind of like sharpening on a sharpening stone. If you don't want to bend your wrist or elbows, you want to pivot. As you can see, I'm almost all the way up to the spine, but I'm not quite as thin as I want to be. So once I hit the spine, I'm going to turn this knob and add about a 1/2 degree angle to that, so it starts to move more here. Guys, this is literally the cheapest, more than likely Chinese-made grinding jig that Amazon sells. It has served me very well, but at the same time, I don't recommend it. As you can see, we're all the way up to the spine now. So I'm going to add about a 1/2 degree. All that did is it made more contact at the edge than it is the spine. I don't know if you guys can still see this little dark line right here where I haven't hit the spine yet. So I know I'm not digging into the spine, I'm removing edge. Even if your bevel's not perfect, one thing you can always do, you can always sandblast it when it's done and hide all that. But I don't recommend that when you first start, man. Learn how to do it right before you learn how to hide a mistake. DH, I'm glad to see you in here, but I messaged you recently. I don't know if you've heard about my shattered ankle, but it kept me working for about 6 weeks. But I've got your kitchen knife at the house. The handles are on it. All I've got some hand sanding to do, and I'm going to get that out to you. So shoot me a text with your address, because I can probably have it to you pretty soon. Again, I apologize for it taking so long. You're exactly right, Mark. Yeah, Yako. Don't be afraid to fuck up. $80 worth of pro cut. In all honesty, if you're learning. If it's something you want to continue to do, you're just investing in your hobby or business or whatever. wouldn't go out and buy a $200 short stick at S125V to learn on. But I don't like the idea of learning on miles still either, because then if you nail it, you end up with a perfect product. It's still not a knife, it's unusable, and that's kind of heartbreaking. As you can see, I'm still not touching the spine. I'm going to put some Sharpie lines on this. Since I've changed that angle, I want y'all to be able to see where the belt is actually touching now. You can see I put those lines on there. Let's see where it's touching when I drag it across. See that? Just touching the bottom half. I'm going to keep going until those black lines disappear. And that tells me I have a full flat, one facet bevel. That's the key to make them look good. You only want one facet, one flat surface. Another thing to keep in mind, you can do this freehand. You can learn to do this without a jig, that's even better. But with with my nerve damage in my hands, I'm not capable of that. So if you are though, man, more power to you. Still not quite to the spine. But we are getting really close to my desired thickness. This is something else y'all saw me do a bunch of times. And I'm going to take a moment to explain why I do it and what it all means. Well, I say that if I can find my micrometers, I'm going to. Shit, I don't know what I did with them. If we have these reading glasses on, I can't see more than 10 feet away from me. I can see up close really good. But I can't see anything out past 10 feet. I don't know why my micrometers wouldn't be just laying right here, where they're always at, where they're supposed to be. But I was going to mic that edge. I don't necessarily have to anymore. I've gotten to a point where I can look at it and tell if it's where I want it. But I wanted to show y'all. So now I'm going to put these mics right on the very edge of that knife edge, just to see how thick it is. Now this is not the same as the behind the edge thickness, because once it's sharpened, that's going to grow a little bit. Let me get my glasses back on so I can see what I'm doing. I keep missing it. I'm guessing it's at about 15 thou, which is about as thin as I want to go. It's at 19, so I'm going to go a little bit further. I usually push these to about 15 thou. By the time it's sharpened, that's going to grow to about 20. And because this is a bigger outdoors use knife, I don't want single digit behind the edge thicknesses on this. I want to leave a little bit of toughness and edge to the edge. See right here, I got that one little black dot left. So what that means is from that black dot up, that's one facet. From that black dot down, that's a completely different facet. They're so close that you can't really tell looking at it, but there are two facets there, and that kind of gives you a slight convex grind, which is fine. That adds some toughness, but if you want a full flat, you got to go to that disappears. And it has disappeared. Look at just a little bit of a black line there. When I hit that, make that go away. We'll be done with this time. Almost gone. I'd be willing to bet once it disappears, that edge is going to be at about 14,000, 15,000. I keep talking about it like, because it's thicker than what my edges usually are. But guys, that's still thinner than a spider toe at the edge. Yep, dead on, 15,500. That knife is done. It's exactly where I wanted it. Yako, I don't know if you've wore out the belts you bought yet, but I'm telling you, son, they're no more expensive. That orange Norton Blaze is an absolute game changer, dude. So I've got both bevels ground on that one. I'm going to take it over here and dip it in my Parks quenching oil and set it aside. The reason I dip it in oil is because this is a high carbon steel and it has some vanadium in it. And if I don't dip it in some oil, it will lay here and rust. I'll show you an example. It's not a big deal because, you know, I'm still going to do some bevel cleanup on this knife, but see, apparently I left this one sitting around wet. So it's got a little surface rust on it. That'll come right off with a Scotch-Brite pad. I mean, there's no point in letting it rust if you can help it. Yeah, Yako, I don't blame you there, dude. I don't think it's worth your time to melt pennies and you're getting unpure copper. You know, there's nickel mixed in with that. You're better off just buying some copper from Maker Supply. I mean, I've got some titanium over here. I've got a big chunk of brass that I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. And I've got a whole big piece here. Hell, you can make knife scales out of that if somebody wanted brass. I don't know that it's worth the weight. But and I've got an oven, and I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about here, but I think if I wanted to infuse some copper into some steel to make a knife, I'm pretty sure I would have to have a hammer, because I think you have to, you know, heat it to 1500 degrees and then hammer it to get it to forge. So I don't know anything about melting copper into a blade. I know when you buy like Baker's Forge, that shit's expensive. I'd be tickled to death to find out you don't need the hammer, but I'm pretty sure you do. But I could be wrong. I'm going to try to sit down and do this grind. Grinding and sitting, I don't find to be very convenient. It could be if my table wasn't so tall. This table's set up at waist level, and the grinder's even higher. But I'm going to have to get used to sitting and grinding some if I'm going to be able to get any work done with my foot the way it is. So, let me move my water bucket over here. Get my stool. My stool's really not tall enough either. But I can't do much about it. Like, I'm eye level with it. It'd help a lot if this was about a foot lower than what it is. Let me grab my other glove. Better if I had a foot taller stool. This one's just kind of standard bar stool height. I've got scale work I really need to be doing, but I can do that at home in the comfort of my, central heat and air. So while I got some moderate temperatures, I'm going to do soft and grind. Apparently that one had a little bit of, had a high spot in it, I guess. Because I'm sitting down, I applied, that's probably what it is, I probably applied a little more pressure in the middle than I did everywhere else. Like I said, you can't grind as good sitting down as you can standing up. Even though I had that high spot, you can see the rest of the bevel's coming up to match it now. That's correct. All my family's from Georgia. I'm an Alabama immigrant. I love living here, but I ain't rooting for the fucking Tide, not even for money. Don't even have anything to do with the school or the football team. The fan base around here. They're just obnoxious and I don't want to be part of it. However, the nicest fan base I've ever met would probably have to be Auburn fans. Just found that Auburn fans are very hospitable when you go to Bryant games. Well, like I said, Armor Blades, it sucks, man. I've got a busted up ankle. I'd much rather be standing. Grinding sitting down is not, it is not ideal. If I was a foot higher, or this work surface was a foot lower, it'd be a lot easier. I'll show it off, Armor, but as you can see, it's a little uneven right here. Because I'm sitting down, I don't have as much control, so it'll grind out before it's over with. In all honesty, depending on how much this foot heals, I may have to learn to grind sitting down. I need to learn how. I know how. I just may have to get used to it. But I started rehab today, so I'm hoping the rehab will get me where I can stand and grind more. I can tell you right now, reaching up like this to do it, both my shoulders are already in pain. And doing the other side is going to be worse because I don't have this platform over here to rest the weight of my arm on. Like that side is done, gentlemen. Y'all see how quick that went? And I'll be honest, I don't know how many grinds I've got on that belt. It was not brand new when I started. It may have been very lightly used, but I don't know. So now we're going to flip it over, grind the other side. Farmer, just out of curiosity, why can you not sit and grind? I mean, I know it's not a good idea if you don't have to. I'm just curious as to what's stopping you. RWP, I'm making, I know who you are, but I'm not going to say your name. Making my full-size Homestead clip point. I've got a bunch of these on order. So I've got to get them done. RWP in the chat is the guy that loaned me that badass custom Medford with the custom engraving on it that I did the review on. And I think it's really cool that that was done at Northern Knives. And Northern Knives is the first retailer to put in an order. He ordered 10 thugs from me. I got to work on the handles on those when I get home tonight. Okay, Mason, I have respirators. I've got N695 masks. I don't typically wear them when I'm grinding metal. If I was grinding my cart or whatever, like yesterday when I was here, I had it on. You're 100% right. You do need to be looking down from above. I need to be looking down from above, but I don't typically sit and grind. But I've got a ankle that's broke all to pieces. I can't stand much, so this is just something I'm having to do today. If I'm gonna, depending on how much it heals, if I have to sit down and grind more in the future, I'm gonna have to change my setup to get my grinder lower or my seat higher, one of the two. That's not going to work. I gotta find something to hold this water bucket, guys. Hang on. That should be better. I can see a lot better from this side for some reason though. I don't know why, but I can definitely see the knife contacting the belt better. Like that pass right there felt very jerky. I didn't feel completely in control of it. That wouldn't be the case if I was standing up, pivoting at the hip. That one was better. I'm gonna be all crippled up. I guess I'm gonna have to learn to adjust to it. Climbing up there pretty quick. If you ever start doing this, start making knives and grinding bevels, when you get done with a bevel and it's hang on, and you've got this beautiful knife bevel when you're done, if you don't get excited about looking at that and seeing that, you're probably in the wrong hobby. I would think that's why most knife makers do it. For the joy or pride, whatever you want to call it, you feel when you grind a beautiful bevel. And the only other reason you could possibly do it is money. And I'm sure Armor Knives and anybody else in here who makes knives will tell you, there ain't enough fucking money in it to do it for that to be a reason to do it. The amount of time it takes you to make a knife, you could spend doing almost anything and make more money. Get a measurement on this. Pretty sure it's still a little thick. Yeah, it's about 30,000. Which would probably be fine for an SD or a top, something like that. I just want mine to cut a little better. Plus, I don't want Kyle to have to spend 3 hours sharpening. my Sharpie lines on there, I had to change the angle a little bit to get a little thinner behind the edge. So I marked it with a Sharpie to see where the belt touches. That's pretty much the same premise as what you guys do when you color in your edge on the Sharpie when you go to sharpen a knife. Sorry about that. I'm about done too. Probably gonna call it after I finish this one, guys. I really need to return that phone call. That, like I said, I'm trying to take it easy and limit the amount of time I spend. That's just a 36 grit belt, guys. It's not mirrored, don't get me wrong, but there's some reflection in it just off 36 grit. And that is one of the many advantages of Pop's Pro Cut. Like I said, the only disadvantage to it is the same disadvantage there is to ADCR V2 or 1095. You just have to, wipe it off and oil it every now and then. This is not stainless. However, 1095 and ADCR V2, 15N20, all that other shit, none of it has the edge retention that this Pop's Pro Cut does. Just dipping it in oil there. Let it get a good coat of oil on it for when I set it over here, because it's going to sit here a few days before I get back to it. So now I'm going to go home and do some handle work. I'll be happy, honest guys, if I can come down here and just grind a couple of knives a day during the warmest part of the day, I'll be happy. That's much more than I was getting done previous. So, there probably won't be any more of those 4, 5, 6 hour long live streams, but my fingertips are getting a little numb because it's in the low 40s in this shop. I don't have any heat going on right now, but I'm going to call it right there. Be happy with what I've gotten done. I got some more knives I need to cut out and get shaped, but I've kind of got Meathead on board. Oh, sorry about that. I've got Meathead on board now, so I can draw them out. He seems to like cutting them out and drilling them, so that'll save me a bunch of time. But I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all soon. That's right. How about them dogs, Dylan?